George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation. Sam Dancil is here to share his story. He's inspired in spite of. And what is he inspired in spite of? Sam, what are you inspired in spite of?
In spite of having a stage 4 terminal, well, they said incurable, but it's a fancy word for terminal lung cancer, that it's a rare genetic mutation. Less than 1% of all lung cancer patients and have lung cancer from this genetic mutation that can happen to anybody. So, and it happened quickly, suddenly, so blessed in spite of. I inspire in spite of, blessed nevertheless, because there's a lot of blessings that happen throughout that.
So take me back to when you first found out, because obviously when you have stage 4 of anything, there's not much room left for error. And when I met you, or reacquainted, however you want to put it, over at the Westcott Nation last week, I was like, this dude is like really positive, and I don't know if I could be as positive, knowing that there, for lack of a better word, there's a limitation of time. At least that's what is perceived.
Right.
So
and I'll tell you what, I didn't know if I could either, and I didn't even, it's not even something I thought about. But I tell you what, when I first got the worst of the news, it didn't faze me a bit. And
why is that?
So, I can tell you what happened from the beginning to that point, and I'll just use some condensed version. So, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer on March 4th. So I was diagnosed literally 2 months after her. Different cancers, and I manage every morsel of her care. So March, and I go to every physical. I don't miss my physicals. I'm all about preventative. My doctor is on board, like since I was a kid. I've had the same doctor since I was 20-year-old kid. And there's reasons why I was exposed to that earlier in life, and I'll just briefly say because of foster care. I was an incredible foster family, where I learned the importance of having a doctor at 10 years old, 11 years old, having your own family physician, which I thought it was foreign, like having your own doctor. And importance of that you can go to the doctors even though there's nothing wrong with you. So
preventive care, right?
Right. And that's not something you see a lot in growing up in the hood. So, or, poor areas, whether it's, rural poor, city poor, that's not the first thing you're thinking of. And men, especially, I would say men, after high school, we have our last physical until 30 and something going on. But so and I will bug my coworkers to tell you, I will bug them if they're not getting physical. If they don't have a doctor, I'll call for you. So my point I'm making is my physical was coming up on March 15th. My mom's diagnosis was March 4th. And they were trying to have her consultation to removing it mid-April. So I had to put the work in. So that's not happening. That's my mama you're speaking of. I wait until mid-April to have the consultation for this 10-centimeter mass that's coming out of it. So right. She ended up having she had the surgery on March 18th, like literally 14 days later. So I contemplated, because of its schedule and everything I was doing, I contemplated postponing my surgery. I'm not my surgery. I mean my physical.
Right.
And very, very rarely do that. Had I done that, I'll say this now, had I done that, had I postponed my physical 2 weeks, I might not be here. If my physical was scheduled, for March 15th. So I'm saying, like, this was March 4th, my physical was scheduled March 15th, my mom's surgery is March 18th. If my physical was scheduled a month later, I wouldn't be here. I scheduled my physicals a year in advance. If it was scheduled a month before, I wouldn't be here. So what happened, 3 days before my physical, I'm getting ready. I notice a lump right here, small, in the mirror, nothing big, just enough that I can like, okay. Being that my physical was coming up, I knew it was something I would just mention to my doctor because I didn't feel anything. I just knew probably lymph node, yeah. I mentioned it to him at some point. Haven't seen that since. That lump, the next day didn't see it. I looked for it, but I could feel it the same. I don't
It's
know
still
how
there, but you don't see it.
if
Okay.
I didn't see it, if I didn't see it, I would never felt for it. Right.
Mm.
So the fact that I saw it, I felt for it. So I didn't see it, but I knew my physical was coming up, and I was, possibly thinking of postponing it anyway. So what happened the day of my actual physical? Now we're on the 15th, 3 days before my mom's surgery. That morning, I was gonna call my doctor's office and push my physical out. So after surgery, she's gonna be in the hospital for a week. Well, that morning, I'm carrying my bottles of Wegmans water, big, I live in the lofts downtown, and I got winded. Not like I'm crazy out of shape, but out of shape. I'm not
Right.
that bad shape, 52, whatever. But the problem is, I was trying to catch my breath, and I could not draw more than half a breath. It was stopping, like my lungs capacity filling up. It would stop halfway.
Mhm.
Freaked me out. 30 seconds max. That's all it lasts. I thought it was anxiety. I'm thinking like, maybe, and I don't deal with anxiety, but maybe it is. Maybe it's COVID. But it literally lasts all of 30 seconds. But I wasn't postponing my physical now. I mean, that in itself is a blessing right there, right? So I go to my physical and I let my doc know. He couldn't see it, but he could feel it. And I said, oh, and this morning, and I told him about, because that hasn't happened again either. That happened at 36 and never before, never after. He said he's not one of those doctors that'll say, we'll watch it. He'll always do a workup. He knows I don't know my dad's medical history. So it's important to me, to get things checked out, especially if it's physical. So he said, we'll order an ultrasound for this, chest x-ray. I said, my mom's surgery's in 3 days. Can we do it after? So we did.
Mhm.
Well, after surgery, it happens and everything just went. This came back. There was not 8 more of them further down. The lump that was there, the lymph nodes, 8 more full. There was a mass to the left side, say left apical region of the lung that wasn't in x-ray before. And he called me at 9 o'clock at night from home, which he doesn't usually call me from home. Tomorrow, CAT scan stat. There's 8 more of those, blah, 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 blah. It's already scheduled, CAT scan stat. Next day, CAT scan happened, stat, and for any viewers that don't know stat just means immediate, CAT scan happened. It came back in an hour because it was stat. And he called me in 2 hours and he said, Sam, it does not look good. Biopsy tomorrow. It's already scheduled. They need to go in there and get some whatever. And we've already scheduled you for the oncologist before the biopsy even come back. So I didn't think lung cancer, but the fact that he said oncologist, I'm like, okay, he ain't going to do that unless there's no biopsy came back. And that literally was the day before taking my mom into that same compound for the first time. She had to go there. The day I found that out, that I would be there the following week, you're talking about, and I couldn't talk to her. I talked to my mom. My mom is the most beautiful human being on the planet. Anybody, and I know I'm her son, but it's real when other people say it too.
Right.
She really is, man. She really is. And I talked to my mom about anything heavy that I'm dealing with. I couldn't talk to her about this. That was one of the darkest days, periods, because I couldn't talk to her. But nevertheless, I had to get her in there and like shut it down so I could focus on her care or whatever. So my appointment comes up. The biopsy comes back 2 days before my appointment. It came up May 4th. Stage 3B lung cancer. You can probably imagine I was quite upset. I was, can I say the PISSED word?
Yeah, you said it.
I was pissed. I really was, because I don't smoke. I'm not around smoke. You can't get in my car if you smell like smoke. I've always been like that. Even when I was in the music industry, my music, it was part of my writer. I know just smoking so I knew it wasn't that. But in my mind, you only get lung cancer when it's smoking, right? So that's what you show. So they had to run all these tests. They knew I was going to get treatment, but before they could do treatment, they got to figure out what the game plan. So they have to check and see if it going to the brain yet, because lung cancer is the first place to go to the brain. They check for pulmonary embolism, all this stuff. I had one, had pneumonia, didn't even feel it. And then the PET scan half a week later, just checked the rest of my body, because it showed that I was metastatic. Showed I was metastatic. But they had to test to see if it's metastasized. Like I would explain to people, highway is getting on a highway, you're metastatic. Where you get off, that's metastasized. So they had to check for that. And so it really was waiting for that 2.5 weeks for that to start treatment to see what the game plan is. 3B, non-small cell lung cancer. Non-small cell, most lung cancers are non-small cell, and they're not as aggressive. The problem is non-smokers, by the time we find out, we're already stage 3 or 4. And non-smokers are not allowed routine screenings for lung cancers. Smokers can get them, non-smokers cannot.
So what you're saying is, we're talking with Sam Dancil, stage 4 lung cancer. This could technically could have been prevented if you got an early screening.
It can be prevented.
So basically you have to smoke to get seen.
Bingo.
But if you're not
right
smoking,
now, if you're not a smoker,
they're not going to screen you.
Can I have my, I'd like to have my routine screening. It's a low dose CT scan. They will say no. If you smoked 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you smoked.
You can get it.
Now, you can get it, right? If you don't smoke.
That seems like a major, it's a major
wait until I tell you these stats. So I'm going to pause it. Look, so how I got to the point where I was at this piece that I didn't understand. So I talk to anybody I can about it. Like I've whether it's groups or one person, impromptu plan, whatever, I will find a way to get a point across to them about the awareness for non-smoking lung cancer. I have bracelets that says non-smoking lung cancer awareness, demand your scan, routine screening, save lives. It's a mission that I thought I would be piggybacking off someone else's mission. I couldn't even believe that it didn't exist. You Google non-smoking lung cancer awareness, doesn't come up. It didn't come up at all. I can Google alien abduction awareness, it'll come up.
But let's talk about you. We'll get to that.
So, but I want to tell you a stat, the real quick part of this is my whole and I know God has blessed me with some of these things, so I can do my part when it comes to that and motivate and inspire at the same time. So I will say to people, pardon me if I may, this podcast I'm working on too, called Pardon Me If I May. And it came up just because I would stop people on the street and do that. Wegmans doesn't matter. Pardon me if I may ask a question. It's about, cancer awareness. I don't tell them I have lung cancer because until after, because answers aren't as raw. I said, all of these are quite important. Neither are less important than the other. There's not a referendum on these other cancers, right? This is strictly for, awareness. But prostate cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer. No, I'm sorry. I say colon cancer. Yes, prostate cancer, breast cancer, and then lung cancer. All the other 3 have routine screenings, but which one you think kills more people every year than the others? It doesn't matter what they say. They usually say breasts or whatever. And
they say something other than.
Right. And I say, what second, what third, doesn't matter. Lung cancer comes up last or second to last. So I say, what if I told you lung cancer kills more than all 3 combined? All 3 combined. Yeah, lung cancer kills more than all 3 combined. Then they can't even wrap their heads around it. And I say, what if I told you 25% of all cancer deaths, 25% are lung cancers? And it's the most diagnosed cancer in the world. So if it's the most diagnosed cancer in the world, first and foremost, that means you're more likely to get lung cancer than either cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's killing 25% of all lung cancer, of all cancer deaths are lung cancer, and breast, colon, prostate, those three which have routine screenings, it kills more than all three combined, but they get 9 times the funding than lung cancer. Don't you think there's a problem with that?
That's what you asked them.
Right. And they said, yeah. I said, I'll get to eventually I get the point that it's because there's no empathy when it comes to lung cancer.
Because they think people can prevent it
cause it on
if they
yourself.
just didn't smoke. But
You
then
cause
there's
it on
what
yourself.
percentage of those are non-smoking
So
cancer?
lung cancer patient, out of all lung cancer patients, 80% of them, they tie it to smoking. So
Right.
when you see the commercials say 80, they tie it. And I preface that with saying tie it for a reason. And I'm quote, if they tie it to smoking, there's extra funding that comes from the tobacco companies, which they should. They lost those lawsuits, which is why they got to pay for the commercials. And that's mainly for the treatment, not so much for the research. So they tie it. I have families I speak to. The person smoked 30 years ago, get cancer now, and they count it. It have nothing to do with the smoking, but because they tie it to. So because of that, all people just see is smoke, smoke, smoke. 20% are has nothing to do with smoking. The number 2 is radon. But out of that 20%, 15% of us, there's a gene that just mutates. It just goes awry, and it can happen to anybody. It's not something you can pass down, not something you like got from somewhere. It just can mutate. The one of mine that mutated is called the ROS1 gene. Go ahead.
But Sam, you're just so matter of fact. You got a terminal disease.
Well, we all do.
Yeah, I guess you mean because we're on this earth, right?
We all do. Like I tell people, it's to be determined, just like anybody else. So let me tell you what happened. So I probably should have told you the rest of that. So when the diagnosis came 3B, stage 4 lung cancer is one of the few stage 4s. Once you get there, the door's shut for options. It's why it's considered incurable.
It's stage 4.
You're right. Stage 4, boom, it shuts. Stage 4, you can have stage 4 kidney cancer. If they can remove it, all right, there's things you can do. If they can cut it out, they can, not like lymph nodes or whatever, but you can't just start removing the lung and all that stuff. Right. So 3B is still close enough. I buried my head, brother. Listen, I buried my head. And anybody that knows me, I'm not a bury your head dude. I will dig in. And this is not by any means bragging. I promise you. I've always known I have a gift. I didn't know what it was when I was a kid, and anybody that's around me enough know to connect dots. Like whether it's engineering or medical or legal, I could connect the dots and apply it. And friends will legal questions, or can you quote me? My son's got to go to the doctors, and can you just pay attention in case you catch something? So since I was a kid, so I buried my head. I didn't know anything. I was not ready to see this phrase, see anything that says time frame. I wasn't ready to see what's out. I got 3 daughters and 1 son, and they're all grown. 2 beautiful
Same as me.
2 beautiful grandsons, 5 and 3. I wasn't ready to see these phrases, or anything that's remotely spoke about time of death and when and all of that. So I buried my head. I buried my head to the point where if I said, just what you know about me, if I said, George, they said I got a blood clot in one of my lungs, and you go, which one, Sam? I go, I don't know. Like anybody knows me, look at me like I got 3 heads, because they know I will know what type and how. And I didn't even know which lung the blood clot, that lung cancer will cause things like blood clots without you having the conditions that cause them, which is why I don't feel it. I didn't even know which lung, because I was giving myself this peace. And I would say, I'll beat it. You beat cancer by the way you live your life, not by what it does to your body. And I meant it because I was being positive. But I think sometimes that's a cop out. Like, I think people say it and they mean it. It's more like, okay, got to say, I'll beat it. You beat it. But if your faith is such where you have faith that
You believe you're gonna beat it?
absolutely. Now, beating it, what does it
Uh-huh.
mean?
What
Right?
does that right,
Right. So here's
right.
the thing. Here's the thing what happened. When I was saying when I was saying I'm gonna beat it, but I go, well, you beat cancer by the way you live your life, not by what it does to your body. What is that
Mhm.
saying? You're saying like, well, I mean, I really don't, it's like, but at least I live my life good. No, if you have faith that you're gonna beat it, what people think, then say it, and that's what it is, right? So here's what happened. I already knew that God was part of this
Mhm.
because I'm a firm believer God doesn't make bad things happen. He
Mhm.
allows them. He allows them. What he does is make good things come from bad things happen. We just wallow in our own pity too much that we never even see any of the good. He will
How do you see good in this?
I tell you, because our
Well, let
bodies.
me let me let me
Yep,
rephrase that.
yep.
How do you see good in stage 4 lung cancer that is right?
Right. And especially ROS1 gene, which is what I
Right.
found out.
Well, you say the
It's a
door is
blessing.
closed. And
It's
I
a
say
blessing.
that you say it's a blessing?
Yes. So if you let me finish the part, you see where I'm going, right, brother? Now, and I'll do the shorter version. So it says, "Yea, do I walk through the valley, not stand still."
Walk through.
It
Come
doesn't
on with
say
it.
it doesn't say stand still.
I
Yea, do I
walk through the
walk.
valley.
One of my speeches I do is it's called "Yea, do I walk" testimonies, right?
Mhm.
Because we always think of testimonies like after defeating something and
Right.
after you get out and you go like, all right, but sometimes a testimony is during, right? I wasn't thinking that at the time. I just knew God was a part of it, and my faith that I have faith that how you live your life, not so much. But I buried my head. So my faith that I had was faith of an apple seed sitting on a shelf. You can have all until you bury it and put it in the dirt and and put pressure on it and whatever. It will never realize the potential of being a apple orchard, right? But it's still faith. Faith of a mustard seed, same. Faith of H2O, I call it. Faith of oxygen. If I'm buried, if I'm submerged in water and I have 20 seconds of oxygen left in my lungs, but I got 40 seconds of break of surface, I know there's H2O, hydrogen and two oxygens. I mean, two hydrogen and the oxygen gases. This one you can bomb with this. You can't have oxygen fire without oxygen. Put it together, this liquid we drink called water. Scientists know what happened, but they don't know how that happens, right? We don't. But is my faith the walk part? Get up and go. Um, I will not give you more than you can handle. I will always give you a way out. That's the part people miss. It doesn't say I'll pick you up and take you out. And I'm a firm believer that faith without works.
It's dead.
If you can do something, faith will work. Exactly. Right. So if I'm submerged, 40 seconds, 20 in my lungs, I know there's oxygen in that H2O. And is my faith such that I'm gonna go, let me try to suck some of this oxygen out of this H2 water, right? You're gonna use some wisdom that God gave you in life, and you go and try to go further, and you make you don't. There's breakthrough faith, or the faith of that apple seed being buried, is if there's 20 seconds, 22 seconds of oxygen left. I mean, 22 seconds to the surface, and I have 20 seconds of oxygen, and I go for it. Everything I can, I have to do something. Once I break the surface, I don't go, I think I can breathe. You gasp. You can't see it. You've experienced the life of that oxygen so much that that belief and faith that it's it. You don't like, I wonder if I'm gonna, you gasp, you go for it. So what I was doing was more of the faith of that apple seed sitting on a shelf. And I'll tell you what, so me burying my head, I had this piece. I'm like, I'm going to my appointments. My oldest daughter is my, she's my proxy because, she's in the medical field anyways. Waiting for all this test, waiting for the stuff to come back so we can say, all right, game plan. My doctor, my oncologist submitted my biopsy to this place called Foundation Medicine, which they genomed my cancer, which unless you're rich enough, you usually don't get your genoming. It's a blessing that he submitted on a whim, and I got approved. right? So that's how I even know how, like the gene. If I don't know that, then they're treating me with regular chemos, and that's not a pretty good outcome, right? So while I'm burying my head, this is what happened. I kid you not. So this is 4 days before, and I'm not that guy like, yeah, God talk to me all the time. 4 days before, I'm getting ready. I don't watch a lot of TV. I get TVs, but I go in my bedroom and I turn my TV on, and so-and-so died of lung cancer. Like I wasn't even, you don't usually hear the phrase lung cancer, let alone I
Right.
was ready to hear died of lung cancer from already, literally, I turned it on. So celebrity died of lung cancer. And I'm like, I turned it off. So I'm getting ready in my groom room, I call it. It's not a powder, my groom room. That TV is always on, and it's on sports always.
Right.
Once in a while, I'll switch it to the news. And so I switch it to the news. And they're speaking of the soldier that died of lung cancer in the fire pits in Iraq.
Oh Lord.
Right. And later a commercial comes on. Did you know lung cancer kills?
Like it's just
When
all
it
around
was
you.
so in my face like that.
Right.
When it's like that, sometime I will sit, and it doesn't happen often when it's so in my face. He's
Right.
trying to tell me something. So I will sit sometime and go, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Because I know he won't go, Samuel.
Mhm.
He knows that'll freak me out if I hear audible. So, and this is what I got. I've never had such clarity in something so profound, knowing this is what I'm getting from him, even though I've never experienced this. And he said, and the faith of how I was getting this was that face of breakthrough, right?
Mm.
Sam, you need to understand the magnitude of this. And I'm thinking stage 3 lung cancer. I mean, I just kept in magnitude. You didn't understand the magnitude of this. Like you're burying your head trying to give yourself a peace that only I can give you. Right?
Okay.
Kid you not. This I swear on anything good. And you didn't understand the magnitude of this. Yes, you beat cancer by way you live your life, not so much by what it does to your body, but you also beat it by beating it. And there lies the real testimony. You also beat it by getting up and go. Do it like, so everything was it was more like the process. So when I'm saying you beat it by the way you live your life, he's saying, no, you're saying that, but that means like you can give how you're living your life and what you're doing and things like that, and show the blessings of what I'm doing as God while you're going through, because people will go through, and you let me worry about what you think is difficult. You let me worry about the rest of that. So because I know he allowed this cancer, but what he made happen is that one reach up and go like, all right, you see it, feel it. All right, I need you to walk. Go. I need you to walk. Do your part. Let me do the rest. Let me do what I'm supposed to do. Because
What are you supposed to do?
What I'm supposed to do? I am supposed to get up and go. Inspire. I'm supposed to raise awareness of non-smoking lung cancer. Continue to be the best father I can be to my daughters in spite of, if I can, and my son. But more importantly, just giving people an inspiration to get up and go instead of, get up and go, and for them to inspire in spite of instead of break down because of, right? Now, someone asked me, I get people ask me questions like, well, do you think you'd be feeling like that if you had all the pain that you spent and all that? I'm like, well, I don't know. But I don't have all the pain. All things that I was worried about, you would typically, that's not happening to me.
So how does your family feel about this? I mean, are they as optimistic as you are?
My family is there. Well, I don't think that's possible. I'm going to tell you why I say, because one of the things that toiled me is when I finally had to talk to my daughters. I knew I was going to cause a pain on them that only I can prevent if I don't tell them. And I wish I was able to give them the peace that I had. So here's what happened. So 4 days, when I said the 4 days before, and I'm getting that from it. So let me finish the rest of it. I know I'm a talker, man. I'll just short. It said, you're trying to give yourself a peace that only I can give you. Unbury your head, dig in. I haven't gifted you and I haven't blessed you with digging in to bury your head. How do you know what you're dealing with if you don't know what you're dealing with? How do you give testimony about what you're dealing with if your head is buried? Not only that, I'm about to lay something on you that I know if you don't know what you're dealing with, you will look for a way out, and I'll give it to you. Unbury your head. I will give you the unbury your head, and I will give you the peace that you are looking for. So it was like, I kid you not, I learned everything I can learn about cancer, everything. Now, I still don't know that I'm going to have this ROS1.
Right.
That's 4 more days. No one knows. We're just waiting for like what game plan is. I've learned everything I can learn about cancer. Is incredibly, and it's beautifully simple, but it's beautifully complex. It's one of the people say you just be cancer. I wish they say be a cancer. It is so,
because there's so many of them.
George, you'd have to find something that works for everyone's individual DNA. That's how specific is. You and I can have the same cancer.
Yes, yeah. But I'm listening to you and it sounds so clinical. Like you're dealing with a terminal illness.
Yes. So clinical, I'm trying not to, but clinical, having to learn that is how I reach people. Because I a lot of times I've always done this where I can apply something, I can break it down today. So
Yeah.
when it comes to genes mutation, I speak of an assembly line. I use some example of assembly line. That's all, and I get it. And then I can keep on going on. When I speak of the lymph nodes, I speak of like our military and stuff. And
give me a good, but I guess what I'm asking, you got the piece. Where's your emotional toll and how do you deal with that? Because I can't imagine what you're having to deal with when you're not inspiring in spite of, like, what's that? What do you,
I will tell you.
Yes.
I'll tell you. So when I went to my appointment, after I dug in, I learned everything I learned. I went to my appointment. This is all right for everybody, so we can talk about game plan. No clue to it comes out. My daughter's with me, long face, Kenny's long face, and in other words, it's not 3B, it's stage 4A. And it's from a very rare genetic mutation called ROS1 gene. He said it's incurable. Like everything he's saying, like what there's a few medications that work for it, but there's one in specific people have been known to get years on, and it stops it from going to brain. And I go, Doc, to be honest, how many years? He goes, 23 to 46, 24 to 46 months. All right, well, let's get going. I go, I guess I'll be the Magic Johnson of what is it called? ROS1 gene. So everything I'm hearing, so because as soon as he said rare, that magnitude that magnitude thing, I immediately it immediately registered the magnitude thing. As soon as he said rare, as soon as he said incurable, everything he was saying, it just kind of it did not faze me 1 second. And I didn't understand it. I kid you not, it was real, George. It was real. It wasn't like, because I'm an optimistic guy, but I'm not that optimistic.
Right.
I'm not that optimistic, right? It was real. It literally, the best way to describe it is as if I was waiting for see if my carpal tunnel needs surgery or not. That's it. Did not faze me, and I've been the same. And I didn't understand it. I just knew it was like, okay, all right, all right, so let's get going. Well, we got to talk about side effects. I don't care about the side effects. I mean, unless it kills me. How long I do? Every 2 months? You go, nope, every day. He said every day, like every day, until the treatment stops working. Cancer, you see it long enough, eventually it'll start to evade. or if your side effects such where you can't handle anymore.
So do
So
you have insurance? How are you paying for that?
yeah, so at the time I was working up until the day before, right? So when I first got diagnosed 3B, I was still working, while they, not a lot of hours, but they're figuring. But once you get that certain diagnosis, once you get that, your last day of work was yesterday. So that day, I was done with work the day before that. Social Security disability immediately, you get approved immediately. It's called compassionate allowance. You get it immediately. You get approved immediately, but you still got to wait for your funds. But there's none of the fight. Yeah, so I immediately, suddenly, just retired medically. No choice. It's more about healing, getting better. I felt good. Um, if again, if I didn't know I had it, because there's no way I should know, I wouldn't be here. The life expectancy not that long.
Yeah, you said 24 to 40. So that's 2 to 4
No,
years
that's with this treatment it
with
is.
the treatment. Okay.
Right. If I didn't know I had it, I wouldn't got treatment. Without treatment, you're speaking 2-3 months.
And so
And hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
If I didn't get approved for foundation medicine, they would be treating me with regular chemos because they said 3B.
Right.
And that's not a good result when it's being caused by this aggressive. This is not, so it's aggressive. So yeah, man, that's got all over it.
You're blessed. You say you're blessed and you got many blessings out of this. And what have you learned? What have you faced in your life? This is probably the biggest test, or is it the biggest test you've ever faced?
I think the test is relevant. I mean, how big it is how big a test is more about, to me, how it affects you. I mean, if I'm looking to get into a major college and I need this one test score to get there, and it's not a meaningful test, but it brings my average to the right spot, it's big. But if I'm taking a test, being a lawyer, I mean, is that big? You know what I mean? So it's more about, I don't consider it a test. I feel like I passed the test already.
Because you're still here?
Because I'm being obedient I was obedient to what I was hearing, right? What I'm not hearing, but what he was, and
right. Because a lot of people would be, some people would be curled up in a ball in the fetal position.
Absolutely.
And you were on your way there.
Man, listen, I'm telling you, the piece I had though, I was using being positive, because I wasn't. But man, when this, I'm telling you, you're right. Like I had to be still so I can get up and go. The be still when I turned the TV on, that happened, and it's all right. What is it trying to tell me? I had to be still. I could have easily just brushed it off, or like, but I'm telling you, I can't explain it the way, no more than I can explain why 2 hydrogens and an oxygen, you put it together as liquid, right? But all I know is it's real. Like I literally, I know it's not a positive. I also mean positive, because I'm not that optimistic. No, I don't. It was real, and I didn't know if it would change it, but it hasn't. I had to get my doctor, I'm not gonna say his name, the oncologist. So when he's talking about the side effects, from congestive heart failure to kidney failure to like liver to nausea, vomiting, passing out, incoherent, like all the, and I'm going to be taking this every day. And I said, okay, well, if I lose my hair, then all deals off. Like that's a game changer. And he starts laughing, because Murray Ball, right? And it's almost like I needed him to see that, like, okay, so let's go, and my daughter to see. And one of the doctors in my main doctor's office, he's crying, and he's like, he goes, can I, you mind if I tell my wife about your story, because your outlook is so, and the doctor crying. I'm like, even then it wasn't registering it wasn't until later when I would talk to people, when I started talking about non-smoking lung cancer awareness, the more I learned. And people would say, oh my God, it was expired. And they would say, your outlook. And that's when at that point, I started going, okay, this is
You have
like
not
my
cried
sneaky.
about this? You
No.
have not.
No, and it's not, I've had someone go like, that's not healthy. Are you?
They're telling you that's not healthy.
I've had one person say that to me because, you know, I get that they said, God, you know, and I'm not this, I'm a Christian, but I'm not this like, let me preach the word to. It says, they say, you know, it's a peace that lacks understanding, right?
Right.
My only tears I've cried for this. The first was just think when they first said, you know, and I got the biopsy and I'm waiting for it. And I thought about who is going to take care of my mama and my youngest daughter, that I still manage her care, some mental health. Talking to them, not being able to talk to any, and I don't usually record and, you know, put my phone up because I had no one to talk to. I put my phone up and I just start talking to it. And it kind of, I was, you know, video documenting it. So it kind of took on a life of its own. I have lots of them now, to the point they let me bring him into the appointment when they were doing a biopsies. And, but yeah, that's the one time is that and I'm gonna be honest with you, man, that one was raw, man. I just said, look, I need my mama. I need my mama. Like 52-year-old man says, mom, that's one. And the other time I cried, I wanted to wait to tell my daughters. My oldest already, you know, she's my proxy. Wait to tell them after the game, they came back, say, this is what the game plan is. So, right. So after that happened, and it was worse than what we thought it'd be, knowing I had to tell them, you know, to meet, you know, for dinner, and I sat in the parking lot, man, and because I wanted to give them, I wanted to go, here, take the piece that I have. And I knew I couldn't do that. And I know I'm the world's man. Like, I know they say it. I'm the, you know, I mean, I raised them for some years as a full-time single father, and they're my babies, you know, and I know I'm about to bring some hurt and pain on them that Dad's supposed to protect the kids, and I'm about to cause them pain. And I know it's a cancer, but if I didn't tell them, they wouldn't be in that pain, right? I'm about to cause them some pain, and all I could do is say, I'm not going to tell them. And I had to do that. And that I bawled like a baby for that one, just bracing myself, because I just, and so it was one of my oldest daughters. She helped me figure, you know, we dinner, and then we went to the house they know it was like family night games, and like after playing some games, and then we talked to them, and my oldest did, and they took it hard, man. But them seeing how my piece, what I was, that helped them.
You said you had a son as well. You have a son as well.
Yep. I have a son. He hasn't been in my life for most of the years, but now, you know, we're trying to make up for lost time. Him hard too. But my kids, they're used to dad having it all figured out. They're used to dad. Well, if dad said everything's gonna be all right, then it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? They're used to that all their lives. So I don't know if this is one of those moments that they did that. I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't say, yeah, I'm gonna be everything will be all right. It's just like it's a Band-Aid. They know exactly, because they're grown. You know what I mean? 22, 26, 27, and 30.
Yeah, your kids are all in the same range as mine.
Yep. I told them my plans to watch my grandkids, my grandsons walk across the stage in graduation. That hasn't changed. My time is to be determined like anybody else. This treatment is average 18, 19 months. So that's what it's if it works. If works mean stops from growing.
When did you stop fearing the end of your life?
I don't know if I have.
Because it feels like if someone's listening, oh, well, he's got this, and whenever and whatever. Because the other thing is,
because I really do believe I'm gonna beat it.
Right. You like, so we're not talking about that then, right? You say, no, I'm really gonna beat, like, no, you don't
Yeah,
understand,
yes,
George. I'm
yes,
really gonna beat this. Like,
yes.
I'm not just talking for fantasy. No,
Right.
no, I really believe this.
I really
You're
believe
gonna you're looking to be that guy who they said, oh my God, this is the one
listen,
in a million.
stage 4. So here's what I focus on. I know, man. Listen, I know anybody that people that have had stage 4 ROS1 gene mutation cancer, because that's once ROS1 adds to the mix, it's a different thing with any cancer. People who have had that, there's no one that's gonna like speak to people and go, well, I've been through this before. So what I'm saying to you, I'm doing speaking to you from experience because I've gone through it, because they're not here. People that are going through it now are more than likely not speaking to people right now because it's you know, it's painful. It's you know, it's you know, chemos, and you know, it went to the like all those things. I can do 50 push-ups right now.
Mm.
I don't,
Nonstop.
yes, straight. 52 doing it, period, right? But I'm not supposed to be able to do that, right? So
Right.
and I know that is
We
God
should have had
grace
the
me.
camera on you so you could do it right now while
I
you talk.
know that is God. I will we'll do is I would know that is God gracing me
Mm.
with the get up and go, because I'm not having those things. I not saying I won't. I just know I don't right now. My treatments, I'm on day 100 and like I think 20 something in treatment. The only side effect I've had is my taste buds. My taste buds, everything tastes bad or disgusting. I don't have all the other things that come with it. Um, I feel great. People say, someone, the coworker asked me the other day, he said, so when are you supposed to be feeling the effects of? I'm like, your guess as good as mine. I mean, I can show you the ROS1ers. I'm part of an ROS1er group. It's a Facebook private page that you got to be invited on. I mean, you got to be approved, whether you either have an ROS gene mutation for your cancer or be a caretaker. And it's even less, there's not many around the world. There's even less when it comes to lung cancer. So I see what they go through, what they talk about, man. I also know, I really do believe if there was more data, because there's not a lot of data. There's not a, for this medication, it was proven in 2019. The clinical trials, there's not a lot because there's not a lot of people that have the genetic mutation. I think there's more of them that just don't know it, didn't know it, right? And most of them that in the clinical trials, it's already, by the time there's already gone to the brain. Like I am just blessed that it was caught soon enough where that didn't happen. And the medication I'm taking is the only one that stops it. It's a brain barrier, it stops it on the brain. Many of them in the clinical trials, it's like their second and third line. They've had other stuff. This is first line for me.
What's your message to
I
us?
have 30% shrinkage.
What's your message to us?
You know, 30% shrinkage.
30% shrinkage.
Listen. And I will tell you a message. ROS1 gene with this medication that's targeted, and as much as $38,000 a month for this treatment. Like it's $38,000 for 3 pills a month. That no treatment should cost that. No medication ever. I don't pay that, but that's what it is. And then my insurance, and then my portion is whatever precision. This medication, if it works, they're basing on people it's worked for 50 months and people work for 2.5 months, right? Eventually cancer will figure it out, and you know, you see it because there's no let up, it's every day, and cancer just will mimic your other cells or whatever. So the ultimate goal is for it to stop growing. So my first check I already had, I have my first real check 2 months in, I have the next one next month. It was more the minimum expectation. They wanted to see the growth slowing, right? They wanted to see the growth slowing. Goal is to stop growing. Shrinkage is more of a like, well, yeah, maybe. It's they don't even count shrinkage enough because it hasn't happened enough in clinical trials for to do anything in the cure and you know what I mean? And so from the clinical trials I've seen or looked at like that, I haven't seen any with it's a 30% shrinkage the first check. And the ones that has been some, there's second and third lines of stuff.
So that's what's giving you the faith and the hope.
Well, I had that before, but yes, I mean that like
Yeah,
that just confirms
that's what you were trying to emphasize. I'm
confirms.
asking you about what's your message. You're like, yo, 30% shrinkage. That's my message.
Well, that God is, I think sometimes he will give you moments to go, look, I still got you. I still got you. Look, right? Still got you. Keep going. 50 push-up. 50 push-up. So my message is, get up and go if you can. Do yea though I walk. Yea though I walk.
So if I'm in what feels like a terminal situation, get up and walk.
Nope. You notice I said if you can.
If you can. No, but I'm saying if I feel like and I can,
get up and go.
You're encouraging people to walk through their fears and conflicts and you want us to walk through it, move through it, walk through that valley of the shadow of death.
Right. Because at the end of the day, whether you lay there or get up and go, that time is going to happen. And if you believe in like having a peace of mind or like mind over matter or having peace, and you know, when you're sitting sedentary and you're curled up in a ball, that's not good for the body either. Right? So it's the small blessings, it's the silver linings, it's the what's the blessing in this? Like I could say, you know, I got this rare stage, you know, but I know the blessing in it is like if I didn't see it, because I know I haven't seen it since. But understanding what the lymph nodes do, that's part of the digging in, it allows me to be able to articulate that when I'm speaking to a group. So I can show them how that one is, they're not supposed to expose themselves. Right? They're not supposed to. And that my lymph nodes held on high cancer volume and didn't open up to get into these areas that could be even worse. You know what I mean? So that's what God has done. He's always working on our behalf, even if it's not what we like. Just like a parent will say no. Doesn't mean you didn't come in and go in that room and there's, you know, he said, no, you can't go out in the rain. Right.
So Sam, let me just say this. We're out of time, but I wanted to ask you this. You want to spread your testimony, your living testimony throughout this community. You want to speak before groups. You want people to invite you to come so you can share your living testimony right now. Right. And so, yes, but depending on what they want me to speak about, I tailor it. Right. I spoke to a group. Right. But I mean, the bottom line is you want to do it. That's right. I want to share my story in real time. I'm dealing with what you say. This is what you're telling me. In the midst of what this seems like to you, I am being blessed, and I want to tell my story. Right. Blessed right now. Nevertheless. And so are you. Inspired, in spite of, and so are you. Right. And so on you. And so is it a change in thinking? Is it being still? What is the key to understanding what you now know? Well, my goal is for anybody I speak to, any group or any person, to walk away 1% more inspired than they were when I start talking to them. And what I've learned with lung cancer, because sometimes I don't let them know I have lung cancer first, because I give them. And you just tell the story, and then by the way, right, I'll say it pretty quick, and some know already. But I kid you not, it's not that hard. Like once they know I have stage 4 lung cancer, and I explain to them how, you know, they see lung, and I go, if I say lung cancer, I don't get traction. If I say non-smoking lung cancer, they go, what? Huh? Right. Once I know I have that, I can just say, get up off your butt, and they're inspired. By the way, there have been some famous people in history: Nat King Cole, Larry King, George Harrison, the Beatles, Lucille Ball, all these folks, Joe DiMaggio, Walt Disney. died of, but they were all smokers. They were all smokers.
When?
Okay.
When were they smokers?
Oh, I mean, they're all dead now, but
Were they smokers up
but
until they got it?
they smoked all of their life pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's probably from the smoking, but may not. My point is, the numbers, when you say it's the most diagnosed cancer in the world, and 25% of all cancer deaths are lung cancer, that's affecting way too many people for the general population to not know it. Even smokers deserve to know, because if they know, they might get their screenings that they get every year, because they don't know they can get them.
They don't know they can get them.
Right. If the people know, they will say to their doctor, I want my routine. So I say, demand your scan to non-smokers. And I say to smokers, get your scan, because you can get one. If your doctor say, what do you need that for? You say, because I want it. But non-smokers, they'll say no to you. But imagine another patient saying, every time they see a patient says, man, I want my routine screening, because the doctors are the front lines of that.
Right.
My doctor's living proof of it. When the insurance company says no or a prior authorization, he always fires back with something. He always come back and they end up approving it. I know another person who got theirs who's a non-smoker, because his doctor sent back to the insurance company and said, well, his parents smoked when he was a kid. So he got his routine screening.
And he was able to keep.
Yes,
Right.
you shouldn't have. But for the most part, non-smokers are not allowed to get them. You can have symptoms. You can have symptoms and they won't give them to you.
Well, we hope to raise awareness. You don't have anything coming up, but is there any other way that people can support the work you're doing?
Tell whoever they know to book me for speaking.
How do they get a hold of you?
I'll give you my phone number. I give phone number. I don't have a website in it because this is all happening quick. All right. Go to my Facebook. I have a lot of support on Facebook. My phone number is I'll give my phone number, my email, or see me on the street. People see me all the time. I'm out and about all the time.
Well, people don't, everybody can't see you all the time. So how do they get a hold of you? What's your number?
315-715-1308.
315-715-1318.
1308.
Wait, 1308. 315, say it again.
315-715-1308.
All right. And you're also on Facebook, Sam Dancil.
Sam Dancil. That's probably the easiest. Facebook. And I will email, it's easy. Dancil, Dancil. Dancil like pencil with a D. Dancil 1 at iCloud.
At iCloud.com.
iCloud, right.
Sam, truly inspiring, man. Inspired spite of. Yay.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
So I walk through the chalet.
And you got to move.
So I walk through the valley.
Something, and let him worry about what you think is difficult. All right, and let people know this. When I speak, is not always, I speak more like that with a church group. But if it's not a church group, I can still get the point across without.
Be you, brother. No matter where you are. Be you.
My mama always said, you're a chameleon and you be the blade of grass.
Okay.
I mean, all right. She always said it. And because of it, I mean, if I'm around French people, I speak French. If that's what I need to articulate, to get through, if I'm around some of my
know your audience is what you're basically saying. All right, my brother.
Yes.
Sam, we all good. We good.
Yes, sir.
I wish you well. But
Thank
I know
you're
gonna beat that. You are beating this.
Listen.
Wait. What we say in faith, let's touch and agree.
That's right.
Inspiration for the nation.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Yeah, get up and go if you can.